We're in the studio today with J.P. Corwyn from Seminole, Florida, musician, songwriter, singer, and we just heard Find a Reason. Tell us a little bit about Find a Reason.
That was a song that, well, here's the thing. Songwriting, there's no one process. There's no one formula. I mean, if you want to specifically craft something for I don't know, consistency's sake, you can write a formulaic song, of course, but I think it's kind of the mark of the songwriter that there's really no 2 or 3 songs that are written exactly the same. Some of them take a year to write. Some of them take a day. I've had songs force their way out of me in 30 minutes, and I've had others that I write part of, and the mood just kind of dies, and I save it off and come back to it later and add it to something new I'm working on. Find a Reason, it took about probably 8 months to perfect, I think. The basics were written pretty quick, and there were a lot of modifications made. So it was definitely a labor of love. And then, of course, my producer, multi-platinum winning, I can speak English today. Multi-platinum winning producer Michael Seifert, who's been on all my records. Guy's amazing. He, put the finishing touches on it and added a lot of instrumentation, and it was a very creative and fun process as usual. But the song itself, from a lyrical content perspective, is, everybody at some point in their life, once they've gone past, honestly, probably 17, 16, you're ready to move on, but you're almost afraid to. You've got a choice in front of you, and it's how do you want to handle it? Do you want to stay where you are, where things are comfortable, whether they're good or bad, they're at least familiar? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to move on? Do you want to take whatever the next risk is? Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of the lyrics of that particular song is about. And then, of course, it ended up rounding out to my big focus on trying to get my music out there and move in that direction, obviously, as opposed to the day job. Actually, at the time I was writing it, I was in the tail end of, not that I knew it at the time, working for the DoD. I did some logistics through the state up in D.C. and worked for the Defense Department for a while. And it was the do I swallow it and bite the bullet and go?
Yeah, so do I stick with what's safe and secure and know will provide you with the ongoing steady income and versus doing what you really wanted to do.
Exactly. And I was doing the music thing solo and with some guys that I'd been working with up there, Carlin McNeil, Brian Highsmith, my bass player and drummer from DC. But it was a weekend thing. It wasn't supposed to be, but it was what it had turned into. Mm-hmm. And it was go or don't. And I did, and ended up back down in Florida after having been up in DC for a number of years, and this is full time. This is what I do now.
Did you ever have any regrets about, letting go of that full-time, secure?
I'd be lying to say that I never had the source of frustration and, the wonder, did I make the right decision? But those only come in kind of the dark minutes. Everybody has the dark times. The dark times. Insert dramatic music here. Cue the thunder and lightning. But honestly, no. There are things that I miss about it. The job itself was reasonably fulfilling. I really enjoyed getting to work with the folks I did and so forth. And of course, I miss the regular paycheck. Everybody does when they don't have it. But sidestepping that, honestly, it's probably very close to the best move I've ever made in my life. A lot of doors have opened up. I've gotten a lot larger fan base. I pack clubs from Seminole, St. Pete, Tampa, all the way up to Tallahassee, which is absolutely meaningless if you are not familiar with Florida geography. But it's not a small stretch of road.
Well, speaking of Tampa, you recently did a benefit concert. I did. I didn't realize at the time that was a benefit concert. Tell us a little bit about that.
I had a post I put up on Facebook the day after everything happened that I was angry, and I had good reason, as I feel like everybody should. During the serving of a warrant, 2 St. Petersburg police officers were killed in the line of duty, and a federal marshal was wounded. And these 2 men, they left behind 2 wives and 4 children. And it was an unnecessary, sad. They weren't in a firefight. It wasn't like they went to knock down a door, and it was it was something comparatively routine. I mean, you're serving a warrant. Obviously, people are not going to be happy to see you, but
absolutely unnecessary for that to go
exactly,
to that extreme.
exactly. I mean, it wasn't a drug bust or something else that was presupposed to be violent, going in hot. So I got very angry about that, and I had a gig already at a great club called Play down in Tampa and in Ybor City. Which is like little 5 points from Atlanta and Adams Morgan from DC and so forth and so on. It's the strip of clubs in the greater Tampa area.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out immediately to the charity in question after doing some digging to find them, which is run by the local Police Benevolence Association. And then I reached out to the club to confirm. I don't know why they wouldn't be, but to confirm out of courtesy that they'd be okay with turning it to a Benny show. And I put the word out. We did the best we could to drop as much press as possible. And basically 2.5 weeks after the events and the shootings, we got together and I had an opener, and we 100 or so people. So I think it was 96 people in the end, which was a nice size of outpouring from the community. The bulk of them were my existing fans. There were a few people that came because it was a charity event.
Mm-hmm.
We raised just shy of $800, and it was donated directly to the families. And I'm very, very, very pleased with it. It turned out to be the sort of thing I wanted it to be.
That's awesome.
So.
Now, where do you mostly? I mean, obviously you play a lot around the clubs in Florida. I mean, have you done touring in different places around the states, or?
I've done New York. I've done Virginia, Washington D.C., Maryland. I have done some stuff in Mississippi, but that's about it so far. I'm currently unsigned. It is me handling pretty close to everything, which is fine. If you want a job done right, basically. But as a result of that, it makes the big deep pockets that say the major labels and even a lot of the indie labels have for tour support and for distribution and so forth and so on. They're not really available to me. I'm totally DIYing it. I'm totally doing it myself.
And that's a full-time job.
It is. It absolutely is. I don't think I could do this if I were working the 9 to 5 somewhere else. So, but I would love to go touring. I'm hoping to maybe get to go do UK later this year. I wanted to do Japan, but the scene it wasn't fiscally responsible to do, so no Japan for me for now.
So who are some of your musical inspirations?
Oh wow, it's all over the map. I'm gonna hit you with a question. As a result of that, give me a genre.
Rock pop.
Rock pop. Let's see. Maroon 5, without question. Huge fan. Shinedown, I've been compared to them a lot, and Pearl Jam a lot, and it's because both of those bands have been influences for me. It's hard not to be a big Stevie Wonder fan. That's more the R&B pop, but I'm bridging, I'm moving, and we're walking, and I don't know. It's crazy difficult to pick even 15, let alone one or two. I'm a firm believer that there is something redeemable or productive or good, just simply good, about every single genre of music. Even if you don't care for it as a whole, there's something about the artistry there that's worth listening to, be it, very fast and very, very steady drums or a very good guitar line or some very creative keyboard work or, interesting lyrical content, even if you don't care for what's being said. Again and again, you're influenced by everything you hear, everything you see. As far as music, in my opinion, if you're a musician, you really ought to be at least taking a gander at every style, every genre.
I also think that a lot of it depends on your mood at the moment,
Without question.
If you're in kind of a melancholy mood, then you have a different taste for what fits with your mood.
I love that word so much.
Melancholy?
Yes. But nobody uses that word anymore. I'm giving you 15 cool points, which can be exchanged.
That probably just shows my age.
No. There are people who still use it. They're the Starbucks crowd.
Ah, well, that wouldn't be me. No, we're not the Starbucks crowd here. We buy our coffee in a can over here.
Amen.
Absolutely. So what about other genres? Let's say country.
Country, Phil Vassar.
I like him too.
Top of the list, Phil Vassar.
He's awesome.
Major fan. There's just nothing he's done I haven't liked.
And he's written for a lot of people too. He's written.
Well, that's where we got to start.
Yeah, I think he's written for like Tim McGraw
Yep.
and Joe D. Messina. And
Joe D. Messina.
yeah, he's awesome. Do you listen to like classical?
I do. I'm actually a big Rachmaninoff fan. I like the Red Priest. I'm a Vivaldi fan. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. Um, those are, I'd say, definitely my two favorites. Um, it's hard not to like Schubert, in spite of the symphony being unfinished. Um, you know, uh, Handel, etc. The list goes on.